Welcome to the webinar. Bienvenidos a todos. This is a webinar that I've presented and shared before. This is about transforming construction management with Scrum and data analytics, a case study example, bringing it to life. My name is Felipe Engineer Manriquez. I'm a registered Scrum trainer, registered Scrum master, project management professional, have my master's in business administration. I'm also a Lean Construction Institute certified practitioner for construction, which I recently achieved this year. A little bit about me, as you can see all my accolades here. I like to make videos to show people how to do things. And so on the left, you can see like the wrong way to peel off sticky notes. So if you forget everything that I talk about today, at least you're going to learn a better way to take sticky notes off. I spend about $3,000 a year on sticky notes. And so this is the way. You want to just pull the note down to you, and then it stays nice and flat. So that when you're making your notes and taking pictures of it to save or share on social media, which I encourage all of you to connect with me at thefelipe.bio.link. And then the video in the center is just an example of a Scrum board that I made as part of a training that I do for the Lean Construction Institute, just to show people how things flow from left to right. And we do one thing at a time. We check, there's some goals there. We'll get into Scrum in a video and describe it a little bit slower, but the video is in English. So apologize. If you want to understand more what Scrum is, I'll share some links so you can read the Scrum guide in Spanish if you prefer Spanish, or 35 other languages. So a little bit about me. In addition to all that, as you saw in the bio, I work for the Bolt Company, BOLDT. We are a large general contractor in the United States. We operate out of 18 different offices. I'll talk more about Bolt in a picture, but the type of work I do as a project delivery services director is that I help projects in need to finish on time with high levels of respect and engagement with the people. We give the clients exactly what they want, satisfy, meet the budget, meet all the key performance indicators, and have a good time doing it. I'm also the co-host of the EBFC show, the Easier, Better for Construction podcast. We're going into season 6, starting in January. So for over 5 years, I've had an interview show where I bring people in from around the world to talk about how they're making construction easier, better, and faster for each and every one of you. Okay, I think that, I'm also a certified TAC Master by Lean Tech. My friend Jason Schroeder, who's a brother from another mother. I was just talking to Jason today when I was out grocery shopping. I'm going to bring him into our company to do some training inside of Bolt, because just because you finish school doesn't mean you stop learning. You want to keep learning, and that's something that I do all the time. I've implemented the concepts that I'm going to share today in the webinar on projects as small as $10,000 in size to over $5 billion in size. And it does scale with some nuances. So I'm going to just give you exactly the punchline right away. So this is a construction Scrum case study. The Scrum framework is on the left in this little picture here that shows the goal and a couple different things. We're going to bring these things to life, but on the case study example that I'm going to share, we only did 3 things and we achieved amazing results. And the first one was to define the goal, which you can see there is that date. That was October 31st of 2023. This study is already a year old. We made the work visible, which is a lean construction technique, making things visual. So we made our stuff visible. I'll describe what BPS is in a couple of slides. I'll define all the acronyms for you. So we do what's called color ups. I'll show examples of that. And then we have this concept of MVP, minimum viable product, which we stole from the lean startup and other areas too, product development. And we use, and then we talk about the frequency of updating data. We did all that and then put the team on a 5-day cycle so that all the work was organized into 5-day chunks. And we did that for 30 days as an experiment. And then we did it for a couple of months longer. Oh, it looks like we got a real-time translator coming up. Can everyone still see my screen, or do I need to reshare?
Can you reshare your screen, please?
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you let me know if that translator is working, or if you need me to slow down. Si decido ser más lento, lo puedo hacer, pero tengo mucha energía. Es muy temprano ahorita. Me siento muy bien. All right, so then on the bottom, we've got some color dots of cost, schedule, and quality. And this is why this became a case study. So building our knowledge from foundation to finish. So we use data or things that we can see. This is a rendering of the picture of the actual building from the case study. It's a Catholic shrine in Oklahoma City. It's called the Blessed Stanley Rother Shrine. We'll start with blueprints and design, like why should we do lean construction techniques? Then we'll build on the foundation. I'll do a slight introduction of what lean is, a little bit longer introduction of what Scrum and construction is. I'll talk about how we use those things inside of the Bolt production system. That's what BPS stands for. And then finally, we'll get into the details of the exact case study. And then I encourage all of you to ask me questions as we go, but we'll have time at the end for final inspection, questions and answers. So about Bolt, 15 offices across the United States, about just shy of 2,000 employees now. We're still growing. We've been in business for over 130 years. And I've got a video. That's Dave Kiewit, who is the current president of the entire organization. And the video is silent on purpose. There's no audio. But what Dave is saying in this video with a little bit of light music is that the purpose of our company, unlike other general contractors, is that our first priority is to create an environment where our employees can thrive. So if you want to learn more about Bolt, you can visit bolt.com and you can see that we're hiring in all of our offices across the United States. We currently do not actively seek international students and do visas. So just disclaimer, just be aware, we don't currently do that, but that could change in the future. And let's talk about the why. Why? Okay, so here's why we need change in construction. So this is $1 on the top of the screen. If the clients, all the projects that we do are for customers of some kinds, that could be hospitals, could be churches, residential, could be large industrial projects, could be large civil works, could be government, could be education. In all of those areas, we spend dollars of one kind or another. Ideally, every dollar we spend should be value added. Unfortunately, it's not the case. Based on the research in design and construction, we have found that about 80% or 80 cents of every dollar spent is wasted, non-value added, from the customer's perspective, which means if I have a project that's $100, only $20 of value will actually transform information, materials, or a combination of both into something the client actually wants. 80 cents will be lost to things that do not add value, and those are very specific things that we'll talk about in a second. And the industry has studied this over the past 2 decades, and there is some research that's wrapping up and is being published this year, 2024, and we're finding the same results. So I'll highlight just a couple of things from this picture here. This is from a McGraw-Hill Smart Market Report, and they found that most people that have never heard of lean or lean construction incorrectly think that the industry is efficient. When I say most people, it's more than 55% of the respondents at this time. Now, people that have implemented lean or are lean practitioners, 19% of those people in the survey said that the industry is efficient, so a very few minority. So looks like that translator took over screen control again. Do I need to reshare one more time?
Yeah, we had some issues, but don't worry. Thank you for your patience. So if you can share a screen, please.
Yeah, one thing you'll learn about me is I don't worry about anything. I have no worries. Okay, so I've got the screen back up. And then you can see that neutral responses in the center, and then people thinking that the industry was very inefficient. People with lean experience, more than 62%, said the industry is extremely inefficient. And if you think about this dollar from a client's perspective, they're only getting 20 cents of value for every dollar spent. That is extremely inefficient. You want to get it as close to 100% as possible. In other industries like agriculture, farming, manufacturing, retail, and the other types of industries are much more efficient than construction. Construction is at the bottom. So how do you start? First thing you have to do is you've got to learn. You've got to learn to recognize what the difference is. So I'll drop this link in the chat. I think I can somehow, at some point I'll drop this link in the chat so you all can watch this video on the 8 types of waste. The acronym is downtime, which stands for defects, overproduction, waiting, non-utilized talent, transportation, inventory, motion, and excess processing. That's what downtime stands for. That represents the 8 types of waste. And all of those wastes come from the result of putting people in situations where they're made to do more work than they should. We call that overburden. And it's also related to variation that we see. Variations like, here's the perfect example of variation. This webinar was supposed to start at 11 o'clock Pacific time, and we started at like 12 minutes after the hour. That's just variation. So as a speaker, I don't worry about what time we start. I was on like 4 minutes early. So even that, not super early as the speaker to get on, but it's okay. Variation is going to happen. It's happening to us all the time, but just be aware that variation can cause one of the 8 wastes or a couple of them. So once you know what those are things that you can stop doing immediately. And then that will help you to increase this value add. So you want to keep more of those 20 cents of value and grow the value of every dollar spent beyond 20 cents. Anything better than 20 cents is better than average. So now I'm going to transition to what is Scrum in construction, and we'll play a short video. We just verify my audio settings are correct so that this works nicely. If the video plays and you don't hear it, it is transcribed. So you'll see the transcription text below, like construction Scrum, it's going to start with those 2 words. But if it's not coming across, just let me know and I'll change how I share, because I think it's a function of how I'm sharing. There's a way to make sure the audio is like going, but I'm not seeing it yet. So I'm going to stop sharing share sound button now. Okay, thank you, teams. I've now clicked the share sound button, so we should be totally fine. So no worries. Here we go.
Construction Scrum, the easier, better for construction way to begin.
Scrum is a simple framework, like scaffolding, designed to make delivering projects easier, better, and faster. It does this by breaking the scope of work, milestones, phases, and tasks into smaller component parts, small batches. Scrum teams use lean construction principles to focus on working closer to one-piece flow, tackling one increment of work at a time, prioritization, and sequencing. After each incremental step, the Scrum team reevaluates what direction the work should flow next and what process is most efficient to accomplish that. Scrum allows you and your team to go and see what your project needs to improve in small cycles of inspection and adaptation, planning and scheduling. From the Scrum Guide, quote, Scrum is a lightweight framework that helps people, teams, and organizations generate value through adaptive solutions for complex problems. In a nutshell, Scrum requires a Scrum Master to foster an environment where 1. A product owner orders the work for a complex problem into a product backlog. 2. The Scrum team turns a selection of the work into an increment of value during a sprint. 3. The Scrum team and its stakeholders inspect the results and adjust for the next sprint. 4. Repeat. Scrum is simple. Try it as is and determine if its philosophy, theory, and structure help to achieve goals and create value. The Scrum framework is purposefully incomplete, only defining the parts required to implement Scrum theory. Scrum is built upon the collective intelligence of the people using it, rather than provide people with detailed instructions. The rules of Scrum guide their relationships and interactions. End quote. An easy way to remember all the key elements of Scrum is this: 3, 5, 3. The first 3 represent the 3 roles in Scrum: the product owner, Scrum Master, and developers, the team members. There are 5 events in Scrum, 5 meetings. The last 3 represent the 3 artifacts we create and use in Scrum, 3 things we can observe and also help guide the 5 meetings. Each of the 3 artifacts reinforces accountability via a corresponding commitment that enhances focus, commitment, and transparency. Scrum works as a system. All good projects start with a goal and a vision of how to bring the owner's project to life. That's what the product owner does. In Scrum, they own the what, as in what the Scrum team is going to make, based on conversations with customers and project stakeholders. The product owner creates a prioritized wish list of all the things that need to be done to finish the whole project. This is called the product backlog. Then, the Scrum team, including the product owner, Scrum Master, and developers, take a look at the backlog during sprint planning, the first event in Scrum. This is when those who do the work collaborate to pull in the highest priority backlog items they believe they can finish in a set period of time, known as a sprint. This shorter to-do list is called the sprint backlog, an ordered phase of work, backlog items. If this phase of work is achieved, the team makes progress toward the sprint goal or milestone. Once the plan is ready, prioritized and sequenced, work towards the sprint goal can begin. Sprints are the heartbeat of Scrum. Each sprint lasts from 1 to 4 weeks. They're short by design. A sprint cycle should be just long enough to allow the Scrum team to produce a meaningful increment of work in place that could be released to the next value creators or customers. No surprise, we call this an increment. Sprints should be short enough that the Scrum team can adapt the plan and schedule if needed based on customer or stakeholder feedback. Throughout the sprint, the Scrum Master coaches the team on Scrum. These servant leaders also facilitate the events and support the team as needed. Every workday, the Scrum team huddles together for the daily Scrum. This meeting should take no more than 15 minutes. This check-in meeting enables the team to track progress toward the milestone, sprint goal, and replan the sprint as needed. During the meeting, the Scrum Master helps the team identify the constraints, bottlenecks, or things that are making it harder to achieve the sprint goal, and will prioritize eliminating anything slowing the Scrum team down. At the end of the sprint, you have the sprint review. At this meeting, the product owner makes sure the right people are there to show and share the completed work and get feedback. The final event in Scrum is the sprint retrospective. The retro is where the Scrum team looks back on the sprint with a specific focus on the process, and they agree on trying something in the next sprint that may speed up their flow or make the process work better. And that's it. The basic 3-5-3 structure of Scrum.
If you enjoyed this video, be sure to tap that subscribe or follow button to never miss content like this for design and construction professionals. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, you gotta definitely like and subscribe. That's so true. I love that outro. All right, we'll take questions about Scrum as they come up, if anyone has any. But otherwise, I'll go into what the bulk production system is. So the bulk production system is the way that we manage on our projects as a general contractor. And the whole point of why we do that is we're trying to achieve uninterrupted workflow, whether we're in design or in construction. And we do that through reliable promises, using last planner system production controls, which is labeled here as last planner, using techniques and concepts for pull production, using a visual workspace, and then actively working on constraint management. We do all of those things outside, and we get a collaborative team dynamic so we can have better outcomes. And then there's like steps to this. I'm not going to go into all of these steps, but it follows the last planner system 5 connected conversations of should, can, will, did, and learn. At Bolt, we've added another step for how, which includes an assessment and then some things we do to start up that are specific to our company. And so when we look at all those things for uninterrupted workflow, we're just committing to having a way that people can talk to each other and answer these questions. The how, should, can, will, did, learn. Those are just conversations. So how could start with like, planning to plan, which is what the spreadsheet represents. The should is using a master schedule, like a critical path method schedule, like a P6, a Microsoft project or something similar. And then putting that to sequencing and phases with color ups. And the can is looking at, work completed, work left to go. And then looking at work that's available to do and prioritizing and deciding how we're going to do that. The will is creating look-ahead plans and planning boards, which is really zoomed out there. And then did is just tracking what actually happened. Like, how did we do? If we planned for 10 things and we did 10 things, then we did 100%. If we did less, we just count reality. And then we learn using things like plus delta or having a retrospective conversation at the end. So all those things work in a circle. We do those steps over and over again. You can see the steps just going around and the learning continues forever. And if you want, I'll play one more video about the type of role and function that someone like myself does inside the company. And this is a video that I made with Ariana, who's on a project in Oakland. And this is just a little glimpse into the type of work we do on a daily basis. I do similar work. I'm currently on a project that is like 6 times the size of the project that she's on, still both very large. But here we go. We'll listen to her answer some questions that I asked her one fine day at work.
Hi, my name is Ariana Alviar. I am a senior production manager for the Bolt company, and I work out of the San Francisco office. I am the link between the office and the field, helping the team put together a plan to execute in the field. So looking at the schedule, breaking down the work into smaller batches, so that people are able to interpret what they're going to do, when they're going to do it, and how they're going to do it. My main focus is making things visual, and I think that when I'm able to present something, when I put a visual with schedule next to it, tag plan or pull plan next to it in front of somebody, and that person is able to read through it and interpret the plan, that's what looks good to me, because I'm not the one that needs to be able to understand it. My role is to make it look easy for others to interpret what the plan is, and that they don't need to rely on somebody like me to be there to explain what they need to go and execute. This is a summary schedule. This is contractually what we owe to the client, the substantial completion and final certificate of occupancy, and then first patient day. So the end of the project, those are the milestones we need to hit. These are intermediate milestones that we've built so we can measure ourselves and make sure that we're on track to hit this substantial completion date, which is the key. So this is the demo phase. General duration, these tasks over here.
Yeah.
And now I've started to develop the details of it, which are these color, but these ones match the production strategy that we have. Looks like this.
Yeah, so that's it in a nutshell. Thanks. So now onto the case study of the project. You all should get an idea of like what we do, and I do the same things. When I first started Bolt a year ago, I would go to projects all over the United States, including this one in Oklahoma City. So this is the Blessed Stanley Rother Shrine. The cost is $50 million US. The schedule was 4 years long. There's an interior shot of the just above the altar inside. 2,000-seat church, includes a visitor center, a separate museum building, and a sacred mound, which you can see the top of the mound here in this picture looking back towards the shrine. The project had 4 key challenges when I got involved, and I got involved in the project at about 4 months until they were supposed to be finished. So one of the big challenges they had was the type. It was a traditional design bid build. They were seeing a lot of changes from the design team. There are 2 architects under contract directly to the client, the owner being the Catholic Diocese in Oklahoma, and they were issuing changes to our team at about 2 sets of changes per day, 2 change orders per day. They also had weather delays. They had record-breaking rain. When I got involved with the team, they had just experienced 16 inches of rainfall in less than 2 weeks, which is like more than 30 centimeters of rain in 2 weeks, if my math is right. We also defaulted the roofer, which means we had to fire and replace the roofing contractor at the same time. And so some of the things that you'll understand is that the way that people work is actually based on philosophy or beliefs, and that informs the processes they take, the actions on the project. The people execute those things, and then we get to various levels of problem solving. So in this case, the team was reporting that they were good on schedule and time, based on needing to finish in less than 4 months, and the roof was still not complete. To me, this signaled a red flag that we didn't necessarily see in the analytics and the data. So the data gives us visibility into different areas of the business. We use Power BI to see the data and do analysis in real-time dashboards. I'll show some screenshots so you can see those visualizations, but it still takes a person, in this case me. I had to take a look at, is this right? Can we be okay in cost? Can we be slightly challenged on schedule and really be okay in quality if we still have a roofer in the last 4 months of this 4-year project? And the answer is no, you can't. So the data was not congruent with the situation on the ground. This is a screenshot of what the data looks like, and it automatically makes colors based on where the information lies in the percentages. We just think like a traffic light. Red is stop, yellow is slow, green is good. You want to be more green so you can have more green lights and get done faster. So we took a deep look into what's going on with schedule first. These are some snapshots from their project dashboard, which looks like Excel, but it's a web-based program. We found that there was a gap with time, and that schedule gap was worse than we thought. We reevaluated cost and quality, found it was even lower. So we implemented Scrum right away with the team in a series of meetings. I'll go into the details of those in another short video. And we just said, when do we need to finish? Like, what's the contract say? And then do people understand that? We spent the better part of a day defining this October 31st date and what this actually means for the client. And what does it mean for us to be finished? And don't take for granted that just because you get an assignment that's due on a certain date, the project is no different. You still need to understand what are the details of the assignment. And then if you're working with the project team, more people than just you, they each need to understand the same thing. So just by making this change, this allowed us to make the next change, which was to color things up. This is an example from the project on the left. These two pictures are areas with the outside, and we just colored them up and made sequences and phases. We further refined the schedule so that we can have, when we talked about area A, for example, everyone can know in a second what are the limits of area A. When should area A be finished? And then this is a shot from the interior with a legend by different trades as well. And then we put the team on a 5-day cycle, which I already told you in the beginning, which means we're going to work Monday through Friday. Before I got there, the team was working Monday through Saturday, and sometimes some members were working on Sundays as well. And so we stabilized the team and we went to a 5-day cycle, but we defined with high reliability what's inside of each activity daily. And then this video, I'm going to let this video play. Just play this video here. This is Bryson. Bryson is an intern on the project at the time, and he's just explaining what changes we made. He's going to show some visuals. You can see they're done on the wall with just a marker. So we're just using a marker. So we did all the changes that I'm sharing in this case study were done in 4 meetings, lasting 2 hours or less. It included executives from the project, from the local team, to interns like Bryson here, so that everyone knows and can follow the same plan and communicate it. So this is just one part of the exterior. This is a decorative concrete, and then we just created some sequence and flows on a 5-day cycle so that the team can work with uninterrupted workflow with high reliability. And he's just explaining what that is. We could walk into the site after we implemented this change, ask any worker where they should be, and they would either pull out a map like that, print it out paper, or they knew where they needed to be. And he's just laughing because he said it's way more effective than Microsoft Project or P6, which I think is pretty funny. So I'm laughing now. Like every time I think about it, it just makes me laugh. So make the work visible so that no problems are hidden. That's an axiom that we stole from Taiichi Ohno, who is the pioneer of the Toyota production system at Toyota. And he developed that and said that in the 1950s. Okay, so now some more data analysis. We know from software, this is my Scrum training, that Brooks' Law in software says adding manpower or people to a project that's already late just makes it later. This is a picture of the project on the first day I was there. And we had trouble getting in. So after this, it rained and all of this became mud. And this mud became 16 inches or almost 2 feet, like a third of a meter of mud. It made it very difficult to get inside the church and do the work inside. And so the first thing we did was we created a temporary sidewalk to this entrance. This is dramatic, this is the power of PowerPoint to show like this fake sidewalk, but we actually made a real sidewalk, a temporary sidewalk for the workers. That's the first thing we did with the workers. And after we did that, the workers allowed us to plan in greater detail for flow. So the first thing is the general contractor. We didn't ask the workers to come to a meeting. First thing we did was we did something for the workers. We gave them something first, which was easier access to the building. And then after that, they participated with us with enthusiasm to further make improvements to time and schedule. We focused on flow. We got a free 2-month schedule improvement. So focusing on flow with the input from the workers participating, we were able to save 2 months of schedule time immediately. And the owner realized that they were not going to finish on time, so they granted an additional 4-month time extension so that they can finish. So the cost actually became green. We had a process now for the change orders. Our schedule became green. We had time to finish that worked with the owner and with the workers. And the quality of everything being done improved significantly because pressure was removed. And we had less stress. It's easier management. MGMT is management. More fun. And then the owner came, this is true, after we'd been doing this for about a month, the owner came to the trailer, to the construction office, with a bottle of brandy. And we all did shots together. And the owner said, Felipe, after you drink at least 4 shots, you're going to explain how this TACT plan works. TACT is TAKT, which is a type of schedule that goes one step beyond last planner system. We're putting things on equal cycles of time. Happy to say that after 4 shots of brandy, I was able to coherently explain how it works. It was very entertaining, very entertaining. So the owner is very happy. So when you read raw data like this, it can be overwhelming. So look for signal. It's one of the first things you want to do. And then the other thing is you want to engage with the teams. We never blame the teams when things go wrong. We always know based on experience that there's a process that's causing the issues. It's rarely a person. The other thing you want to do is you want to make decisions based on real information or data, use insights. So when we look at this, we look at these different things. We don't want to just make decisions based on emotions alone. That's a part of it, but we want to use actual things that we can measure and see. And then you're going to use that to just determine what is signal versus noise or background information. Numbers matter, but numbers alone are not good enough. So use colors as well. Look at trends. We have trends here so you can see like what's happening over time. And this is just a snapshot from a portfolio of projects. This is not one single project. This is lots of projects aggregated. And then look at the commentary. Listen to what people say. Like if there's a story for why the participation of this thing is really low at 9%, listen to that story and understand like what's happening. So what could go wrong when you implement something like this? Well, you've got, this is a picture from the basilica inside. You can see the skeleton of this. I should never have been able to take this picture 4 months into the project's over. This should have already been colored up and painted with final art. And so and still you don't panic when you see something like this because there are things we can do in process that we can recover, and we did. So with the time that we saved, we could have had this church opened for the public. 20,000 people came on opening day, which was actually opening day was a year from yesterday. So yeah, November 1st, Day of the Dead, All Saints Day. So this is a picture from last year of 20,000 people coming to the church for the opening day ceremonies. So you have to watch out for old habits versus new habits. And each of you as students, when you enter the workforce, you're still very impressionable. You don't have many bad habits yet because you don't have so much work experience, but you're going to join people that have possibly been doing that job for 40 years. And that's a long time. A lot of habits get made. So bring enthusiasm with what you learned in school, and don't be afraid to challenge the old ways of working because not all of the traditions are good. Some of them are not good. So bring the new habits. Like I'd say P6 is an old habit that doesn't help teams that much. This is an actual picture from their Microsoft project schedule, their critical path method schedule. And I just took a screenshot of like, it was 8 pages long, and it's not good. And it's not good because the people aren't good using it. It's not good because the tool's not good. This tool does not actually serve construction at a high level when it gets to be longer than a few pages. And I tell people, like, if you're relying just on this schedule to help you finish, then you want to do what Jesus is doing here. Get down on your knees and pray to God, because you're not going to make it. This schedule alone is not going to get you across the finish line on any project, big or small. So close the gap. So we saw a gap, and in our project delivery services as a director, we use the Toyota improvement kata, which just has 4 steps. It's a proven procedure. Number 1 is just get the challenge or the direction. What's the goal? Number 2, that's in the plan. Number 2 is grasping the current condition. So when I went to the project the first time, all I did was walk around, observe, talk to people, listen to what people are saying. I didn't tell people to do anything different in that first grasping the current condition. I'm just understanding what is happening. And that's step 2. Then step 3 is to study. You can see establishing your next target. Like, what do we want to do? We wanted to finish on time. That was the easy goal. We wanted to finish by October 31st. That was our initial goal. And then step 4 is you just act. You do some experiments to get there. So we started with that cycle time of 5 days, and then that created so many benefits that we saved 2 months of schedule time. So very simple. So that was our plan. Respectfully face the situation together with the team, be easy on the people on the team, and be extremely hard on the process. Since we did that, this project opened up successfully, and it's won 2 awards, 1 local award with the American General Contractors Association in Oklahoma, and it won the national award this February, 2024. It's a beautiful building. Go and visit it if you can. If you ever find yourself in Oklahoma City, you can go visit it for free at any time. And then go and see, it's like dashboard data is useful to start, but it's not everything. You want to look inside, outside, look side to side, observe how the project is flowing. Like flowing is the people, the material, and the equipment's on the project. Like pay attention to how this is working, how material is coming to this, and just observe. And if it doesn't make sense to you, it's probably not a good process. And that's good. Even as a student, you know, you go into the workforce, some of you might have some work experience, some of you don't. Sometimes it's actually better to have less experience because you ask better questions when something doesn't make sense. So I encourage all of you to ask lots of questions in the future with respect, but listen deeply to what people say so you can understand. You build trust with people, and then if you listen to their ideas, you can learn more about the data that you're observing, but the team has to be part of the solution. It can't and will never be my solution. Even though I'm using Scrum with the team, I never told them that, you know, that it's going to be Felipe's solution. I told them it's going to be, you're the ones that have to do the work. I'm just here to help and support and coach. And as long as we keep that relationship, things work very well. They typically do. Then you can implement the team's ideas as well, because they'll have ideas. And you want to implement what are called safe to fail experiments. So little changes that if they go really wrong, nobody gets hurt. It doesn't cost money, typically, almost always free. And then you want to do rapid idea to action. So if someone has an idea, you want to be asking like, how soon can we test it? Can we start that now? And then see what benefits are. Plant the seeds, fertile ground, let them grow. Tend to the ones that grow. Pay attention to the people. So I'm going to I'll show this link of what's here, and I want to offer everybody a free Construction Scrum course that's currently in English. Apologize, but there's a lot of writing. And so let me just change screens here. So this is that website, thefelipe.bio.link. When you come to this site, there's a couple of different links here. You can connect with me on X, YouTube, Buy Me a Coffee, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is my most active. Instagram is here somewhere, maybe someday. Someday I'll put my Instagram on here as well. WhatsApp or just my phone or email is here as well. So there's that how Scrum works the construction video, which you all saw, is here. So if you want to watch that, I'll take you to my YouTube channel. And then I've got the book. So the book website is here. This is a book that I wrote a few years ago, which it follows a few case study examples. And you can get a free portion of the book or listen to it on Audible for free if you have Audible, free for 30 days. So you can listen to my book. It only takes about a day and a half to get through. And then there's all the links from the book are here. So even if you don't buy the book, you can take advantage of all these links, which are the page just scrolls forever, and then you can download the book if you like, learn more about me. And then I have a podcast. It's all episodes, 5 years, different topics. Like you can see, like I even had one on suicide and construction, mental health a month, like earlier in October with 2 guests. So check these out. You can search, and then there's a blog as well with different things like AI, sustainability, going to LCI, a case study example of somebody that read something from LinkedIn and saved over 60 days in their project. So those are examples there. Yeah, lots of stuff there. So I'm going to stop sharing. Oh, I owe you a video. Let me go to YouTube and get that video that I promised on the 8 Ways in Lean. So live on the fly. And I'll drop that in the chat, but let's open it up for any Q&A. So that means someone's got to come off of mute and ask a question. I'll drop this link in the chat for everybody, so you can. It's the only thing that's not in the presentation is this one link. If nobody has any questions, then this can be a short webinar. There's the 8 Ways video. I just dropped it in the Teams chat. Looks like we got a hand up. Silva. Okay,
hi.
Okay, hello. Hola.
Hello. My question is about the industry, but here in Peru, because I think some people here with the industry of construction is very informal, and some people think that that process of a Scrum, of making lists, or put something on the board, maybe sometimes takes a lot of time, and some people here don't like to do that because they think that that process is like boring, or like maybe everything is in your mind. And I know how to do that because I have here in my head. And I think that some engineers here in Peru have that that kind of work because they don't want to update the way they work. And what do you think about that? And maybe I would like to know if there in the USA happened also that in some constructions, in some situations.
Yeah, thank you, Vita. Vita, right? That's first name?
Yes, Vera.
Veta. Thank you so much, Veta. I think you're absolutely right. And we have those same engineers in the United States too. So that's why I have this slide where all the changes we made on that project, this is the real time of what did it take to do. It took 4 meetings, in person, face to face, 2 hours or less. So that's 8 hours. That's it. All of this took in 4 months. It only took us 8 hours. That's 1 day total. 2 hours. And because people, even this team said when we first got there, they said, we don't have time to do lean. We don't have time to do anything different. All we're doing is keeping up. And they were not actually keeping up. That's very hard for people to admit. So what you described is variation. So when you have engineers saying we don't have time to plan, we have the same in the United States. I hear the same things by everybody. What you end up seeing is that they have an excessive variation. So they spend more time reacting to things because they're not planning. You don't have to have a very good plan. You just need to have a basic plan. Like you can see here in the video when I hit play, there's things going around the room that are just showing some key dates so that when they have meetings, they can just step up to these visuals and they can just say like, here's the date on the calendar. And that helps people anchor on deliverables and the timing. So like it took me 3 days to learn what Scrum is, reading a book. And then I did experiments with a real team. And then it took me probably a few months to get really good at it. And then now I just use it all the time. So I use it all the time, including with executives and companies. And I don't teach people how to use Scrum when they're working with me on a team. I just use it. And they get the benefit of being in that cycle. So you can see here with this team, like we didn't stop the project and say, we're going to start using this new thing. All we did after just understanding what's happening was we focused on these 3 things: getting the same date, which is just talking to people, making the visuals. We volunteered. Like I did that, and members of my team, we did the color ups first, and then the team later, when they had time, they did it, but we did it first. They didn't have time in the beginning to do it. And then getting on the 5-day cycle was just asking, can we do this on 5 days? And then people saying yes or no. And if they said no, then we had to look at their processes a little bit different. This is a real simple process drawing right here with 4 steps on the right that are blank. And we just answered the question like, well, how can we get you on a 5-day cycle? What can we change? What could you change to do that? And then when we did all that, then you had all these changes happen. And now the team after this was like, oh, we want to learn more things. Like, what else can we learn? And it just changes the entire dynamic. So I think the first thing, you want to give people the experience. Let them have the experience first before you try to teach them or tell them anything differently. Like, I started with this example of money to make the case, like, why do we need to do things different? Because this is not very good for people, especially if you're in the red. If your red area is very high, it hurts people. It causes lots of problems. So I think that's a really good question. And we have the same problem in the United States. The same. I've worked in Europe, in 3 different countries in Europe. I've consulted to people in Brazil as well, and recently people in Asia. And unfortunately, the United States has exported its very bad construction habits to the entire world. And most of the world does construction in the same very unoptimized way. So there's a lot of potential to make it easier to do. That was a great first question. Who else? We got time for one more question, and then we'll have to bring the webinar to a close because at some point I need to eat almuerzo at some point. Who's got another question? Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Lau, for laughing. Yes, I get hungry. It takes a lot to fuel this machine. Anybody else have any questions? I'll take a hard question too, easy or an easy one. Go ahead. Is that John Willie?
Yeah, hi, nice to meet you. I
Likewise.
have a question related to a skyscraper. I don't know
Okay.
if you have applied this kind of method to this kind of building.
Yeah, so
I know if
skyscraper. All right, go ahead.
yeah, I know if it would be harder, or it would be a nice method to apply to make this construction, right?
Yeah, so in a skyscraper, you have what kind of do you have a specific skyscraper in mind? And we're talking like more than 10 stories tall. How big and what's the main feature? Is it residential or is it office?
Office.
Okay, that's super easy. So yes, it's easy to apply. You have a lot of repetition. The more repetition you have, the easier it is to implement those cycles for the work. And you can start with your cycles first on just creating the structure. And the structure repeats. It's be some form of squares of steel going all the way up, and then those are just very repetitious. It's very easy to put the steel on a cycle of time, and then you do the same thing when you get to the skinning the building with either probably curtain wall glass, because architects just love glass. Like I feel like they have stock in glass and they never specify stone anymore like they used to. But whatever the skins are, you can also do that on cycles as well based on production rates. And then the interiors, office patterns typically repeat, like the bathrooms are in the same place on every single floor. So you can do all the bathrooms in a sequence all the way up and down the building. And then you can do the layouts in the sequence of cycle time as well. And yeah, you can build a schedule for the entire building. I'll bring up an example. We'll take one more question. I'll stall. I'll bring up an example what that looks like on a multi-year project, so you can see it at a glance. I just have to find the picture, so just bear with me while I pull up that picture. And we'll take another question. I should be able to find this picture pretty fast. Yeah, okay, I've got it. Okay, so look, we don't even have another question yet, and I've got the picture up. So this is an example. I think I can go full screen here. Probably. There's probably a way. There's probably a way to. Now you can see this image here. So it's a Scrum Last Planner System TAC plan. So this project is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. A 6-year project. This is zoomed way back. You can see all these different colors. These are showing the cycles. So here we have like design. We have a parking structure. Here's the design and approvals with the city. Then we have some superstructure on a TAC plan, and then we have the interiors. The interiors are the longest duration of time, and you can see like the interiors start the spring of 2027 and they finish right at the spring of 2029. So that's a good year and a half. That's a year and 6 months to do the interiors. And this building, this example is it's 5 stories, but it's a very large 1 million square foot hospital. But on a skyscraper, you can do the same thing. You can just take this. You could have less of these or more of them depending on your floors and sequence. And then these big boxes down below are just summaries. They summarize the boxes up here because I'm so zoomed back. If I zoom way in, you can see that each of these has a number and there's a legend. You can't read it because it's just, I had to zoom way back and take the screenshot. But all of these are legible words in the spread. This is just a spreadsheet that has all this in these different colors. So it's very simple to understand and to read. Like you can see, like you're like, when are we going to do the landscaping? Oh, we're going to do it here, starting in 2028. When are we going to do the superstructure? Oh, it's right here, 2026. It's this stuff here is the superstructure. So it's very easy, very simple. And you can do that with skyscraper as well. And if you want to learn how to do TAC, just go to my YouTube channel. I have a video on basic fundamentals of TAC. with Scrum. It's like a 15-minute video. I'll drop it in the chat. If no one else has a question, I'll just find it and share it. Okay, I found it on LeanTech's channel, so I'm not going to get the views. I'll let my friend Jason get the views. I'm okay with that. So I'll share that in the chat so you can watch it. And then if you want to learn more about TACT, that channel that it's on, Jason and my friend, he's got a lot of free resources there so that you can understand that better. But that was awesome. Okay, how are we doing on time? Are we start late, we end late? How do you want to do it?
I think that's a very good time. We made it already like 1 hour, so that's very good. How about you, Mr. Felipe? Are you okay? How do you think about the webinar?
Yeah, I thought that was good. It's always nicer to see people than your initials look very good on Teams, but I know that it's a Saturday and people not everyone has a podcast studio like I do. So if you don't want to turn your camera on, that's okay. But I thought the webinar was good. Some good questions. Some more questions would be better. So if you all have questions, you can message me on LinkedIn, or Lao Lee has my contact information. Lao, you can share with folks, and I promise I'll respond at least within a week.
Yeah, sure. I will share the contact for the people who wants to make a question. Me gustaría invitar a todos posibles, a todos los presentes, para que puedan prender sus cámaras y tomarnos una foto, por favor.
Sí,
Si
órale.
ustedes pueden.
Sí, pero con ganas. ¿Verdad?
Yo voy a prender la cámara para iniciar, o sea, para ser la primera persona.
Órale. We got Zamir
A ver si me llegan a ver.
is
Okay.
ready. Yeah.
Okay. Bueno, a mí me gustaría agradecer a todos los presentes, a todos los participantes por haber participado, bueno, por estar presente en este webinar que estamos organizando tanto Lean UNI como Lean UPC. Tanto así como este webinar, también los quiero invitar al siguiente webinar que vamos a tener con el ponente Juan Felipe Pons.
El tocayo. Tocayo de España. Es un amigo. Lo voy a ver la semana que viene. Vamos a Los Cabos, México, esta semana que viene.
Y sí, por el Congreso de México, en el Lean Construction Congress en México. Y bueno, y me gustaría, bueno, ya, continuando. Entonces, les agradezco por estar presentes en esta ponencia. Les agradezco a usted. Uh, I would like to thank you, and Mr. Felipe, for being present and providing us with such valuable information that I am sure many will seek to apply in their projects. Both Lean UNI and Lean UPC will always be grateful for your contributions. So we hope to be able to count with you in the near future to share more of your great experience with more young people. So, muchas gracias por estar aquí presente, ingeniero. Muchas gracias a todos los participantes y por favor, prenden la cámara, voy a tomar unas fotos. Sonríen, por favor. Smile.